hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Please be seated. I don't know, maybe part of Lent is to have excessively long gospel lessons, because we're certainly getting them, and we're going to continue for the next couple of weeks. I have always been intrigued and found this story somewhat personal. As a child, I had my left eye was pulled in, and I'm old enough that they were very worried about giving me anesthetic, so they waited until I was 6 to correct that. And by that age, my right eye had become dominant, and so technically I'm blind in my left eye on 200 vision. And so as a child, I was very, very aware of that, and could go into a total panic if somehow I hit. I remember one day I was playing, I ran into a bush and hit my right side, and I closed my eyes, and I remember pausing thinking, I open my eyes, am I going to be able to see? So this story was, gospel story, always was especially intriguing to me. But as an adult, I realized that this gospel story, and indeed the story from Samuel and even Ephesians, are all part of the same story. Who is blind and who sees? Seeing is more than just a physical act. Yesterday, I was needlepointing with some friends, and they were talking about blind people who go downhill skiing and other things that people who are born blind can do by using their other senses and with some aid and help. What we so often see as a handicap is in our perception, but perhaps not so much in the perception of the other person. In today's gospel reading, the good religious people are the ones who fail to see. In spite of all the evidence of God at work through Jesus Christ, they just can't get it because it differs from what their preconceived notion is. They are so wrapped up in the law, thou shalt do no work on the Sabbath, that they are overwhelmed by the idea that Jesus would have made mud on the Sabbath and told this person to go and wash in this creek and restore his sight. They can't get over their perceived notion of what is proper and what is right. So they remain blind. But in their blindness, they cause harm. Listen carefully. You had the little vignette of the man's parents who are brought before and interrogated, literally. And they are afraid because they know by the time that John was writing this gospel, he may have added this in for effect, that people were being kicked out of the synagogue if they were also worshiping Jesus. And so these parents know that if they say, well, we believe our son, we believe he was healed by Jesus, they themselves will be kicked out of their religious home. The man himself has more faith. He says, what I know is I was blind, this man acted, and now I see. And then he turns the tables on them, which only angers them all the more. When he says, I've told you this once, I've told you this twice. You keep asking, I keep giving you the same answer. Maybe it is you really need and want to believe yourself. And that, of course, gets him booted out. And when he is booted out, who comes and finds him yet again? Jesus. And this man becomes a believer, becomes a follower of Jesus, and causes others, including us today, to see. In our Old Testament reading, Samuel is commissioned to do a very dangerous thing. Saul is still king of Israel, but Saul has turned bad. Saul has turned blind to God. And Samuel is told by God to anoint a new king, an act of tyranny, an act of rebellion. And Samuel is afraid. Samuel goes in secret. But even though he goes in secret and he goes to see all these sons, and he's sure that one of them is the one who is to be king, the way he sees people and the way God sees people, it turns out is entirely different. And that is often true for you and I today as well. And so our readings invite us to really contemplate and think about what it is we are seeing and what the results are of our seeing and the results of our blindness. Where do we see? Where do we remain blind? For our being able to perceive the difference may make all the difference in our lives and in the lives of others. Let us stand and reaffirm our faith in the words of the Nicene Creed.